Hi, everybody.
How you doing? Can you hear me?
Hey, Greg, Kevin.
Hey,
Hi.
yeah, Kevin, I heard you.
All right, listen, I'm gonna be on the road, so I'm gonna put myself on mute, so I'll be listening in, okay?
Where are you taking us? Anywhere good? Ice cream?
Yeah. Yeah, to the airport.
Okay. Hopefully somewhere warm.
Yeah. Cheryl's going out to California for a couple days.
Oh, safe travels.
Yeah. If she doesn't get out here to the car soon, she might miss the plane.
Oh, my goodness.
Hey, Greg,
Yes.
Jeff, I may be on the road, so if they take attendance, can you answer for me? So I'm not, hands-free driving.
I'll give you a tardy pass, tardy for class.
Yeah. All right. Oh, here comes the boss. I better shut off and start heading in. All right. I'll be listening.
Hey, Paul.
Safe
Hi,
travels.
Greg. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Good.
Hey, Kristen.
Hi, Greg. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Good.
Hi, Melissa. This feels like parent-teacher night. I go, good shushing parents here.
Let me just check one sec. We'll be within 1 second here.
Take your time. I think we're missing a few people.
Sorry. Shan, I know you're on there. Can you check, Glenn's in a meeting room with about 5 or 6 other people, which is not this room, obviously.
I don't know where they got the link. This is the only link we sent out, unless they sent out a different link.
Yeah, because I
There's
think
also a Google Meet link. I was just on that and I couldn't get through if you guys can hear me.
Google Meet. He must have, when he sent out a calendar invite, it must have had a Google Meet link with it,
Yes, it did.
Zoom link.
And I just opened up this Zoom link that's further down and I got it now.
all right, let me send him the link.
I texted it to him, but,
Okay.
and I'm texting with him right now. I said, use the Zoom link, not the Meet link.
How are you, Paul?
I'm okay. I'm trying to figure out how to get my camera on. I'm okay. How are you?
Doing all right, thanks.
You guys have had a tough couple of days over at the tech.
Yeah, real tough week.
I know. Sorry to hear that.
Thank you. He was the best.
Oh, I know. I heard the stories every day. He's such a good guy.
Lynn knows best.
Yep.
I just talked to Glenn. He's be over in a minute. He's sending the other people too.
Hey everyone, I made it.
Ryan, how are you?
I'm good, Greg. How you doing?
Well, hey, Marianne.
Hey, everybody's coming over. We have about 4 in another chat.
You guys carpool?
Yeah.
We got lost.
I'll be right back. I'm going to re-log in, see if I get my camera going.
Sounds good.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Diane. Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, there you are. Okay, we were both in 2 separate rooms. Okay.
You
All
did-
right, now we have 14 participants.
Mr.
Quiet.
Bendel, good evening. Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
Hey, Dave.
All right, there I am.
Hey, everyone.
Just FYI, I heard from George a short time ago. He's had a kind of a personal emergency come up, so he's not going to be able to be on tonight.
So I suppose, unless there's Mr. Lord, anybody else in the waiting room, I think we probably could get started here.
Nope, no waiting room. Anybody can join right in.
Okay, great. Okay, well, let's get started with that. Good evening, everyone. Glenn Brand, Superintendent of Schools, and thank you so much for joining. Sorry for the hiccup at the beginning of our meeting. A few of us were in a different meeting link, but I'm glad we could come together. It's really pretty exciting to be here at this point, to be kicking off this meeting, and obviously what will be a large but a really important journey for the community of Wilmington and for our public schools as well. I know we have a lot of different folks here on this call and collectively as part of this meeting that many know each other, but not everyone does. But we'll get this underway and try and work through things as quickly as possible. I'm well aware of what's standing between us and a rather big event for the city of Boston, if you're a sports fan. So I get that. So we'll move this along as quickly as we can. Ms. Contrada, Jen Contrada is on the call, and she works in the Roman House here, and she's going to be here to help take notes as part of the recording secretary for tonight. So Jen, thanks for being here and welcome. So with that, let's formally get underway. We'll start officially at 6:39, and I'll follow along. I've got my agenda here, and we'll work through things as quickly as we can. But let's start by taking a roll call, and if you could kindly introduce yourself and share which group or a constituent group that you are representing. And so I'll start again. Glenn Brand, Superintendent of Schools, and somehow by default, I think I'm the committee chairman. And thank you in advance for all of your time and your willingness to be a part of this. Mr. Hull?
Jeff Hull, Town Manager. Certainly we'll be working with Glenn and Paul and everyone on this, and appreciate your time.
Mr. Bendel?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everybody. My name is Greg Bendel. I have the good fortune of serving on the Wilmington Board of Selectmen here in town for the past 5 years. And professionally, I am in my 15th year as a school teacher at Shawsheen Tech. So I look forward to working with all of you.
Thanks so much. Mr. Ragsdale?
David Ragsdale. I'm the school committee representative.
Great, thanks, David. Mr. Hooper, as Mr. Hull said, will be joining us, but not here this evening. Ms. Charlotte King is the principal of Wildwood. She's not able to join us tonight, and so in her place and representing her and principals, Ms. Walsh.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Kristen Walsh. I am the building principal at the Beltwell Early Childhood Center. It is a pleasure to meet you.
Paul?
Hi, Paul Malorani, permanent. I'm sorry, Paul Ruggiero or Paul Mason?
That's fine.
My apologies, Paul. Yes, sorry about that.
Paul Malorani, Permanent Building Committee since 1992, and I just did the math. That's 29 years. So I've been around the block here for a few years. Also on the Senior Center Committee and the Town Hall School Administration Committee. Nice to meet everybody.
Thanks so much. How about the other Paul now?
Evening, everyone. Paul Ruggiero, Assistant Superintendent of Administration and Finance with the Wilmington Public Schools. I look forward to working with all of you and see if we can get a new school.
Brian?
Hi, everyone. Brian Perry. I am the Finance Director and the Town Accountant for the Town of Wilmington.
Marianne?
Hi, everyone. Marianne Galezo. I am the representative for the Finance Committee.
Thanks, Marianne. Diane?
Diane Allen, a member of the Permanent Building Committee, and also, like Paul, working on the Senior Center building and the Town Hall building, and look forward to working with you people on this project as well.
Thanks, Diane. John Holloway, I don't think I see John here, but he's also a member of the committee from the Permanent Building Committee. We have a couple of alternates. A few of them are not here this evening. MJ Burns from the School Committee is not here, but Ms. Plowman is. Melissa, I saw you there.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Melissa Plowman. I'm on the school committee as an alternate representative.
And last but not least, Kevin, let's see, are you on with us?
I think Kevin is going to be listening in. I believe he's in transit, so he's not able to actually comment, but we'll be listening in.
Thanks, Chef. I am gonna listen in. I am in the car. So, good luck. I'll be listening. Thank you.
Right.
So just for everybody's information, Kevin Cairo is a member of the Board of Selectmen and is also on the Town School Building Committee.
Town Hall, School Building
Right.
Administration.
Great. Okay. Well, I think that we heard from everybody again, though, a couple of alternates and a member that was not able to be here tonight. But that takes care of our roll call. And moving on through the agenda, item number 3, we are looking for a vice chair of this committee, and so looking for possible nominations. And I think to start, it would be probably fair to say that at this juncture, it's somewhat difficult to put an exact number on the amount of time, or certainly the number of meetings that this committee will have. I think for those that have been involved in this kind of work before, fair to assume that at the early stages here, that the meetings will be certainly not as frequent in this first part, module 1, as it's called. We'll talk about that in a little bit in a moment. But nevertheless, we think that it would be good to have some consistency of meetings, whether that be by month or every other month. We'll have to see how it goes, but we are looking for someone to consider taking on the role of vice chair for the committee. And so if there are those that are interested, looking for nominations.
I'd like to place a nomination, Dr. Brand, and I'd like to put Paul Ruggiero as vice chair.
Oh, you were my friend, Diane.
I'll second that nomination.
I thought we put George there since he's not here in the meeting.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I promised him I would not make him vice chair.
That's not fair.
Is there anyone else?
I'll
Well-
third Paul Ruggiero's.
All right, well, I guess with that, all those, Paul, you may kill me later, but all those in favor?
Greg Bendel.
Aye.
Aye.
Paul, yes.
Aye.
Good thing
Yes.
we share office space. All right, thank you, everybody. Great. I look forward to working with you, Paul. All right. Okay, the thought to come together this evening and to kick this committee off and this effort off is really to try and do a couple of things, and that is bring everyone up to speed on some of the work that's been happening to date around the Wildwood project and our formal engagement with MSBA. Provide you with a bit of an overview on some of the things that are to come in the near future that we are aware of right now, and then talk a little bit about a possible communication plan, and gather your thoughts and ideas around what you think might be important between now and the next number of months before we get to one of the key milestones. So with that, I'll share my screen here and try and work through all of those things. Okay. Sorry, just a second. Can you see that?
Mhm. Yeah, lost it. Just lost it again.
Is it there? Can you see that?
No.
You can see your desktop right now.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I've probably done Zoom about 500 times and I don't usually have. Okay, can you?
We're looking at the press release right now. Wildwood invited into.
Okay, very good. All right, great.
program.
So just to, thanks, David. So some context setting here, I think first off, and just as a reminder, I mean, as you play the role on this committee, and certainly we start collectively as a committee to start to socialize this. I think this is a really big thing, and for those of you that have been involved before, certainly with the high school project, it's a huge accomplishment. First off, I think we just should all be mindful of that to get into the program, the MSBA program, and just as a point of reminder. You know, and from my experience, generally 60, 70, 80, sometimes more districts apply every single year. The year that we applied was no different, 71 applications total. And we, Wilmington, were one of 15 districts that were invited in. And it really is it's a huge testament to the collective work that went into the application. But I also think equally important, and can you see this? This is attachment A, core program. I think also equally important is just as some sort of context setting and reminder here that those individual applications are reviewed by the board of directors and the MSBA at the MSBA, and they really take a look at a number of different factors or a number of elements, as many of you know. But I think that this piece, as I was looking through some of this information last week as we were preparing to upload and get launched the website, which hopefully you may have seen my email earlier and you saw the link to that. All of the documents that I'm showing you tonight are available on the district website. We've built a specific Wildwood project link for to that. But you know, the review process determines those schools that are most urgent and most needy relative to the pool of applicants. And I think that's an important piece. Just reminded members of our community about that. We demonstrated very clearly to the MSBA that we have some needs here in Wilmington, and like all other districts who decided to apply, we reached out for assistance, and they ultimately agreed. They agreed with the fact that we have some aged buildings. They agreed with the identification of Wildwood as the most pressing priority project, which we deemed it so, and that they're willing to partner with the community of Wilmington to try and improve our current situation with our elementary buildings, our elementary stock. So I think that's it's just an important piece to keep in mind. This overview is a document that comes directly from the MSBA website, and it provides sort of in a nice visual way the different steps that we'll be embarking upon. We've already started actually in terms of the different modules with MSBA. So where we're at here is in the process is at the very top, module 1, which is MSBA's title for this. It's called the eligibility period. And we have completed the initial compliance certification. That's a document that had a whole bunch of formal jargon that we committed to, and it's a document that is also on our website now. We formed the school building committee. That's checked off. We've just recently completed the educational profile, and the enrollment process is something that we're into right now. And I'll show you those deliverables in just a second. Maintenance and capital planning. Mr. Hooper, I know, has started working on those. Those are documents that are still to come. And then the final step, an important one in this first module, is the local authorization of funding to enter into feasibility study. Again, this document comes directly from MSBA, and it's on the district website. The deliverables that we, just a second. Actually, Paul, do you mind, do you have that document?
Oh, the scheduled deliverables? Yep.
Yeah.
Can you let me share the screen?
Yeah, just a second here, sorry. Mr. Lord, I know you're there. I'm having troubles. How do I,
You can just share the screen and it'll take over.
no, I know that, but I can't get to the bottom.
Oh, it's probably floating at the top of the screen. If you move your cursor up to the top,
Yeah,
it'll
see,
then reveal the toolbar.
yeah, and it's hidden. That's my challenge here tonight.
Do you want me to stop the sharing?
Can you do that?
Yep.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yep.
And can you let Paul do that?
Yes, anybody can share their screen.
Okay, thank you.
Can you see that?
Yes.
Mhm. Yes.
Thanks, Paul. So this is an overview of a document that the MSBA provided the district. I think it was back in the summer, or maybe it was in the spring, late June, and provided a nice overview of the deliverables that in this first phase, this eligibility period, or module 1, that we have to provide to MSBA. I mentioned a moment ago the initial compliance certification, and just worthy to note that our commencement period for this project was July the 1st. So it's the official start date. Sometimes it sounds like they do stagger districts for the commencement date. I mentioned a moment ago that 15 school districts were invited in. We may not all have the same commencement date of July 1st, but Wilmington's happens to be then. And so working from that July 1st date comes all of the different deliverables and how many days out. So we provided the initial compliance certification, which is now complete, as I mentioned. We were required to identify the members, you all here, and those that are on the committee. We had to notify formally the MSBA of the list of members, which we did by August 30th. The educational profile was the next deliverable. You can see the third one down, and we recently completed that by the end of September. Paul worked hard on the enrollment, respective enrollment data, and that was submitted by the end of September as well. There's a next step or a secondary step for the enrollment becoming certified for this potential project. You can see that the date there is the end of December. And so I believe, Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the next step is that we will soon hear from MSBA as they take a very close look at our enrollment. And we'll eventually have to sign off on that. Correct, Paul, for this next step?
Yes, that's correct.
And then maintenance and capital planning information. There's quite a bit of information that, as I mentioned, that George has started to compile and will need to share with MSBA that provides a fairly in-depth overview of the maintenance work that has been done on the buildings and related capital planning improvements for the school buildings, I think specifically. Following that, by March 28th, and maybe Jeff, you want to speak a little bit more about this, but by March 28th, there is a local vote that's necessary to authorize, I think it's the correct way to say it, but to authorize the town to secure funds to enter into feasibility, which takes us to then the conclusion of this first part of the project, module 1, and takes us into the second part. Jeff, did you want to expand upon anything there regarding that?
Yes, so the vote, there will need to be a special town meeting. I will be looking to go to the Board of Selectmen, perhaps, if not this coming meeting, the next one, to suggest a meeting date. I think one of the challenges here is just trying to queue this up, so to speak, with all the other things that are going on. Obviously, as many of you know, this hits right in the midst of our budget process. So we have the annual budget that is presented to the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee at the end of January. This year it's January 24th, and then immediately following that, we start meetings with the Finance Committee, which are held twice a week, typically on Tuesdays and Thursdays throughout February and into early March. And so it's looking like the recommendation to the board will be, again, early March, perhaps the 7th or 8th of March, looking to seek the vote there. Again, this is to authorize funding for feasibility study. And if that authorization is successful, then that would allow us to enter into the feasibility agreement and then be eligible for consideration for the next phase, as Dr. Brand noted.
So maybe this is as good a place as any to pause and just see if any questions from members of the committee regarding that last piece that Mr. Hall just addressed, or any of the other the deliverables and such that bring us to this point in time with this first module.
Dr. Brand, are you going to be sending out the deliverables that were sent in to the committee members?
Yeah, great question. I certainly can. I can also draw or point your attention to them on the website, but they're there and they're certainly public. But I can send those out as separate attachments if that's easier for you all.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Sure. Yep.
If I can just on the online projection, just so that everyone's aware. So this process was an online module with MSBA, and in that Brian Perry helped quite a bit as well. It had enrollment for the whole district for the last, I think, 10 years. And then it also asked for birth rates, any new housing developments coming online in the next few years, and a bunch of other town-centric data. And then it kind of projects enrollment going forward. And on top of that, there was a follow-up questionnaire around enrollment as well. And it talked more about special education programs, kindergarten programs, and preschool programs. So we worked on filling that information out. That all went to the MSBA, and our understanding is they'll look at that and then they'll contact us at some point to kind of discuss that and come up with a projected enrollment. As you're probably aware, there's a bunch of different, our primary school is a Wildwood, but there's a potential for, as was noted in our facility master plan, some reduction in transitions between grades. So there might be an opportunity, as we spoke also earlier this year or late last year about consolidating schools, but that's still all up in the air. But MSBA has all of that information, and then we'll have a bunch of discussions going forward.
Thanks, Paul. Any questions on enrollment, or again, any of the other deliverables or such that we talked about? Okay. I think it brings us to the next item, agenda, sorry, number 5, and wanted to start to talk about and gather the thoughts of the group around a possible communication plan to inform residents of about this project and the opportunity to be a part of the MSBA funding pipeline here, and building options as it relates to moving forward. A number of us have, clearly over the last year plus, I guess, since we first, it was more than a year. I know time is marching quickly here, but consider the opportunity to apply for MSBA. We're picking up from where, in large measure, things left off with the facilities master plan at the town level that pointed to or recommendations around school building consolidation to consider, to explore. And so it's, I don't think, lost on many of us that there's lots of people who follow closely the discussions, say at the school committee level or the board of selectmen level, but not necessarily is everyone town-wide totally up to speed with either the facilities master plan itself or the current state of the state, if you will, with regards to our school facilities, or our engagement in this process with MSBA. And so the more that sort of to think about some of this, the more that sort of gives rise to the question of what should we be doing in terms of communicating with residents to continually try to bring them up to speed now and over the coming months, leading up to that March time period that Mr. Hall spoke about a few moments ago, and then leading into the next hopeful phase of this project. So wanted to gather some thoughts of the group as a whole in terms of how we might do that, when we should do that, and thoughts or ideas around target groups throughout the community to interface with, and so on. So with that, I'll open it up for your thoughts and ideas.
Dr. Brand, I'm going to
Yes.
talk first here. I think right now, obviously, from the townspeople perspective, there's been, obviously, they know about the senior center going on, and we are in the process of doing outreach for that. And a little further down the line, there's the town hall school administration. So now we've got a third project here, which is this Wildwood school. And I think somehow we have to say why we are doing this. Why now? People are saying, gee, the permanent building committee has other members on it, and we're working on these two projects. Why now? So it has to be justified with a bunch of reasons, concise, not very long, but something that will grab their attention. And whether this is done on a website that can be updated, but then again, a lot of people in town don't probably check it, either through the Wilmington Apple that makes people aware of it, or maybe some poster boards with that could be placed either in the library or town hall, or places that the public goes to make them aware of this third project. And I think it's got to be concise, and I think it's got to answer the question why. Why are we doing this Wildwood project?
Thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Brand, if I could just jump on to what Diane said, maybe a newsletter, a handout, something that could go home with the students, if you're able to do that. You're going to get a major part of the population of the town doing it that way, and they'll have a hard copy of some factual literature in hand in their home, on the kitchen counter, on the kitchen table that they can look at.
Good point, Bob. Good point.
Mr. Chair.
Sure, Greg.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think some great points have been made. I also just wanted to add that in addition to the obvious, which would be print media, possibility of social media, had a chance to look at the page. It's built very nicely done. Yeah, I'd love to see the opportunity for someone to subscribe to a town email. If that page was to be up, perhaps they would get an alert if they chose to get that. They wanted to follow along with the project. Perhaps we should consider that with the other projects that are going on. But I also like the idea of community forums at some point, and maybe it doesn't have to be immediately, but I'm always mindful, as you all are, of the folks who are not on social media or not on the web, and that perhaps just want to sit down and have some questions. So perhaps we should consider, along the way here, some opportunities where we hit the road, if you will, and have a night at the library or have a night at the senior center where we can explain to folks who may not be aware of the condition of the wildwood, and they can come and ask questions. And I think that's a good opportunity for folks who are not online per se.
That's a great point, Greg. How about a night at the Wildwood? Get the people in there and show them the state of the facility.
Love it, yeah.
Open house.
Yeah, and I think also if we could have George go ahead and do some sort of videotaping of the school with a little narrative and put that on the website as well.
We
There was
already have
actually
that, I think. Didn't we have to submit
do,
that to
yeah,
MSBA?
A great suggestion, but we actually, yes, we already do have a video that
Oh,
we
perfect.
submitted, which was done in collaboration with Mr. Lord and Mr. Hooper, but drawing attention to that and getting that out there. But all of those are, I think, terrific ideas. And yeah, thank you. Other thoughts? I certainly don't want to cut off the conversation. There's some great thoughts here to consider.
Well, certainly the thinking about trying to get to as many households as possible. As many of you know, we have the town topics that goes out with the tax bills. So a portion of that, the piece that I typically put together can provide some brief points on where the project stands. The next town topics goes out in December. So from a timing perspective, that would probably be a good opportunity. The other thoughts would be to, at our respective meetings, Board of Selectmen's meeting and the school committee meetings, as we continue on through the end of the calendar year into next year, providing updates through that forum.
Thanks, Jeff. Any other thoughts that maybe have not been mentioned?
I think that a few things were mentioned about in the schools, either sending something home or, even having some, poster boards available. I think that especially at the elementary schools that, even if there's like a sign up near the front or, learn more, or here's a little flyer that you can pick up, because even though current elementary parents are probably not going to be the beneficiaries of this project by the time it's constructed, they still get it. They still understand that it's important, that the educational spaces that their kids are in is an important thing for the town to be working on. And so I think there's a certain resonance with the people who are currently in our elementary buildings, and that they'll, be coming out to the town meeting to support this type of project if they are aware of it.
Great.
I think it's also important to capture a lot more than the school population. We need to capture the seniors. We need to capture people who do not have children in town. I think we need to capture as much population as we can.
Yeah, this project is important for the town as the town and not just for the school district.
Just a couple other thoughts, if I may. Two thoughts. If we could, Jeff, have John O'Neill have a link to this well-developed page onto the town's website in case a resident maybe started looking there and didn't know to go to the school district site. And then in addition to that, would it be possible to create a town or WPS K-12 email address where someone could email in questions? I mean, obviously, they could email, Dr. Brand directly, but perhaps we filter them in through a particular address where they could ask questions along the way.
Great thoughts. Thank you. Great.
Just to respond to the first point, we are going to have a link on the town's website that'll direct people to the school repository of information.
Great,
And
thanks.
just on that point, I should say, again, if you do have a chance to go and stop by that the webpage that we're speaking about here, and you have some thoughts or ideas yourself about what we could do to improve that. This was a first pass. It's but meant to be a work in progress, and certainly we can adjust it and shape it and expand it in a way that that you think would be helpful. So please don't hesitate to reach out. We'll revise it as we need to go forward and make it most most useful for this work. So we certainly the vice chair and I can work on developing a draft of some possible communication tools, and I would certainly, this would be kind of thing that I would very much want your feedback on collectively. So I think that that's something that perhaps we can bring to and overall put some of these ideas together before pushing anything out to the public. So that would be something that I would suggest we could work on to bring back to the next time that we meet. I think it's also important just to keep in mind, and as you might start to have conversations with folks around town, that between now and March, this is not figuring out ultimately the design of a building, where it's going to go, are the schools going to be consolidated or not? I mean, I suspect most of you are aware of this, but I would imagine that there's lots that are not. And I think that that's going to be important, that this is to convey, as people may start to learn about your involvement in this process and on this committee, that there's going to be all kinds of time and a very public opportunity to become more engaged in all of that. What are the options before the community of Wilmington for schools? Is there one particular model of consolidation that may felt to actually take care of a whole lot of things and would be of interest to the community, but how much does that cost and where does that go? All of those really important things, but they won't happen until well after that March vote. Once, at least as I understand it, once a third party is secured through the funds that are part of that vote that Jeff talked about, and then that company will do their work, and that work will be the substance of the possible directions that we're going to go. So this is the beginning of a long journey, but I certainly wouldn't want anyone to think that this is all going to be figured out by March. It won't be, certainly. And I think that's an important piece to keep in mind. An important piece to just let the community know that there will be certainly opportunities for their feedback and ideas. It has to happen, right? And we have to garner that awareness.
I would want to just echo Dr. Brand's point there that, certainly, it's kind of one inning at a time, so to speak, as we'll be finding out shortly here. But, the focus should be just at the moment anyways on the vote for the special town meeting, and really the product of that, if the funds are authorized, will be to really do a deep dive, so to speak, of the various options. You'll recall back when we were first putting forward various options. They were very preliminary, and I think there were a lot of good questions about gathering more information on those options. This next step, if the funds are granted, will allow the town to really hone in on the various configurations and options and look at the pros and cons, and then ultimately come to a conclusion as to the best approach to take. So that's really the intent of these funds that we'll be looking for at the special town meeting. And I think if we can just try to focus on that point and drive that message home, that this isn't going to be the design of the building or even the location per se, but just there's a set of options that we need to really do some more detailed review on, and that's what our consultant will help us with.
Sorry, if I might, just going back to that video you mentioned about the school, I, for one, would love to put eyes on that. Is there a way that could be shared privately with the committee members?
I certainly will send out that link to the video so you have access to it along with the other documents, most definitely. Yeah.
And if that video is good enough to stand on its own, then fine, but we also may be able to enlist WCTV to maybe put together a video narrative, but I'd like to see the one that you guys submitted first.
And just so the committee is aware, we again, Mr. Lord and Mr. Hooper worked on that, but we put that video together because it was during the time of the height of COVID, and normally the MSBA team would be visiting in person all of the buildings, but they weren't able to. They decided that they couldn't or wouldn't, and so in lieu of that, they requested a video, and it turned out, I think, nicely, and certainly gave those that reviewed it a good sense of the state of the building. But we can certainly share that. And
thank you.
Make that available. Okay.
Dr. Brand, I have a
Please.
follow-up question too. Those deliverables that you showed on the list, is any one of those items weighted differently than others?
That's a great question. I'm not sure the answer to that. To be honest, I don't know, Paul, if you do. They haven't. In thinking about the information that they've conveyed, I don't believe that there's been any reference to weighting of those documents thus far. Collectively, I think they're all just part of the respective process leading towards, helping lead us through this first phase. Paul, I don't know, any thoughts different on that?
No, through our conversations with the MSBA, that never came out as far as a weight on any of them. I think they use it to gain appreciation of as far as enrollment goes, and also the educational profile, 20,000 foot view of it. But they didn't indicate any weighting on that. I know the capital and maintenance planning document comes into play later on down the line from a reimbursement rate perspective. I think that's but that's again down the line, even though it's due at the end of the year. But no, they never said to us whether any of the other documents are weighted at this point.
Okay, thank you. And
sorry, go ahead.
Then to the second part of my question was what the town manager said with regard to the special town meeting. Of course, he's going to be going through a budget process in the end of January and presenting and everything to the Board of Selectmen. How is the feasibility study amount of money going to be arrived at?
That's going to be in part looking at what other communities have with similar projects have budgeted and expended. And we do have some of that information. The MSBA has provided us with some districts that have gone through this process. So the expectation is we're probably talking somewhere in the range of $1 million. Could be a little more, maybe a little less, but I think that's kind of in terms of scale of magnitude, probably what we're looking at.
And would that be from free cash or capital stabilization fund, or how would that, or would that be raised by taxation?
I would be recommending that the money come from free cash.
Okay, thank you.
For everyone's information, I've put 2 links into the chat. The first link is to the Wildwood building page on the district website, the main project page. And the second one is to a subsection of that, which is documents submitted to the MSBA, which is where you can find the video. So that second link in the chat, if you go to that page, you'll see the video embedded there.
Thank you, David. Okay, I think that unless there's anything further, that brings us to item number 6, and that's trying to schedule the next meeting date. And just thinking about our previous conversation around solidifying some specific messaging and fleshing out a little bit further this communication plan, I do think it would be great if we could come back together as a committee to gather your sense. So if it's all right, we can certainly follow up with a doodle poll if people are uncertain about their calendaring, but let me just take a shot at this to try, since we're here on a Monday night. I wonder if people would be able to meet 4 weeks from now, Monday, November. I think that's Monday, November the 15th at the same time. But if you're uncertain, I certainly don't want to put anyone on the spot, and working with my assistant, I can follow up. That would be the preference on a doodle poll to explore a couple of dates if you prefer.
Date works for me.
Looks good to me too.
15th works for me.
Kristen, you're speaking, but I can't hear you. Sorry.
I'm good with the 15th.
Wow, this committee is going to be great. This was easy. Does the 15th, is there anyone that the 15th does not work for?
Just a point of information, I think that's the night for the Verizon public hearing.
Oh, that's right. The cable licensing.
Oh,
Yeah, there's a public,
good point.
Open forum, whatever you call that night.
what, Ken, do you know what time that's scheduled for?
6 o'clock, I think. Is that right, Jeff?
You know, Carrie mentioned it to me, but I unfortunately I did not put it on my calendar, so I don't know offhand.
I believe it's 6 o'clock.
All right. So then it sounds like that would not be a good choice. And I guess we'll have to, sorry about that. We'll have to explore the doodle poll. All right. I thought we were close. Okay. So I will work with my assistant to get out to everybody a doodle poll and the documents that we talked about tonight, with a link to the video just again, so you have that certainly. And
let me, Dr. Graham, before you concede that date, I guess, in terms of the public hearing, if it starts at 6, my guess is it's probably, you know, maybe an hour. I can't imagine it would go an hour and a half. The intent is really to gather feedback on people's interest in what they're seeking in a new cable license. I think in large part, it's probably not going to change a lot from what it is right now, but, and Ken, you can certainly jump in here, but if folks were able to do that same evening, but perhaps at 7 instead of 6, maybe we could still work on, have it that evening.
Yeah, I mean, an hour, probably max. That was what my understanding from speaking with our legal consultant.
Well, why don't I do this if it's all right with the group? Why don't I'll follow up just with an actual poll, thinking about the fact that we do have a couple of members that are not here tonight, just to to gauge everyone's availability, but that's helpful to talk that through. And I'll include the 15th as certainly a possible date, if that makes sense. I should have said at the outset, and forgive me for not doing so, that, you know, as much as we're trying to bring attention to all of this work, the work of this committee and the work of this opportunity with MSBA, we certainly are making and will make every one of these meetings publicly accessible for everyone. As you know, it's being recorded tonight and will be available on WCTV. We will continue to post all of the meetings publicly, as we would with any public meeting. We will gather minutes and formally approve those through this meeting. So at the next meeting, we'll do so. And we will make all of those, the recordings, the minutes, and the agendas available off of the respective websites. So just in case other people in the community are interested in learning more and becoming a part of the process. I just wanted to share that. And so that will bring us to public comment to see if there is or are any members of the community that would like to make a comment. And I don't think we have anybody else on the call. It doesn't look like.
Mr. Brand, this is Kevin Kyra. Just a question. Will
Certainly.
you be planning the next meeting to be in person? Because I do believe it's easier for the public to participate in an in-person meeting than it is on a Zoom meeting.
Thank you. Great question. Thanks so much. So could I, with that question, get a sense of the committee on the committee's desire to either meet virtually through Zoom, such as this, or in person?
I'm certainly comfortable meeting in person.
In person's fine with me.
Well, I'm fine with either, although I actually think that often the community finds it easier to just log on to a Zoom meeting than to show up somewhere in person in order to participate. But I'm personally fine with either.
I'm with either one.
Yeah, either way is fine with me. I
Same
think
here.
we could do a test and see if the next one is in person, how many people do show up, and if the public isn't showing up, then we go back to the virtual one.
I think even if we have the in-person, it still would make sense to contact WCTV. I know they like to get a heads up just to see if we can get them to cover the meeting to make sure that it gets to a broader audience.
Kristen? Kristen, we can't hear you. Kristen, could you use the chat? You have audio issues. Can you use the chat? While she's typing, any other thoughts or preferences around in person or virtual?
I'm fine either way.
I'm the same. I could do either, whatever works for everybody else.
I do think when you get further on down the road, though, you want to meet in person. Absolutely. To give the public the ability to come and ask questions.
I hate to say it, Kristen, but if you did type something, at least I'm not seeing it.
I can see it.
Oh, you can. Oh, okay.
And I think Kristen was saying similarly to David, which I actually agree with as well. I think the virtual option actually provides a little more flexibility for parents or families, people who have children at home and wouldn't need to have childcare, et cetera, can log in, jump out. So I'm not sure in person creates more accessibility. I think it depends on the person. I'll do either.
Okay. Okay, so thank you for that. I will, so it sounds like it seems like the general sense would be in person, I think, but sounds like an openness to do either. Either way, we would include and continue to include WCTV. We found to be a great partner in supporting and making accessible these recordings through virtual meetings such as this, or certainly we know they're a great partner for in-person meetings as well. Okay, seeing no public comment, then with that, unless there's anything else, looking for a motion to adjourn.
So
I'll make
moved.
a
Second.
Second. Okay, no, Greg, you got it.
Right. All those in favor?
I think it needs to be,
Aye.
Good.
I think it needs to be a roll call.
Has to be rolled.
A roll call. All right. We'll go across this. We'll go across. Mr. Bendel,
Greg Bendel, yes.
Jeff Hull, yes.
Mary Ann Galezo, yes.
Diane Allen, yes.
Paul Malorani, yes.
Paul Ruggiero, yes.
Brian Perry, yes.
David Ragsdale, yes.
Melissa Plowman, yes.
Kristen Walsh, I think that was a yes. And Glenn Brand, yes. We get everybody? I think we did. Thank you so much, all of you, for your time.
Oh, Kevin
tonight.
Kyra.
Oh, Kevin, you still there? Sorry.
Yes, I didn't know if alternates were to vote or not, but I'm a yes.
Thank you, Kevin. I really look forward to working with you and for being a part of this project. And thank you so much for your time tonight. I'll get that follow-up email out to you tomorrow with the information we talked about.
Take care.
Thank you.
Take
Have
care.
a nice
Hi, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Good night.
everyone.
Good night.
Good night,
evening.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.